this picture. If you're into the news like we are, your eyes would have been graced by this particular frame when you first woke up this morning. This is Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor leaving a police station after he was arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office. So let's break down why this photo and many others like it are not really that flattering to the subject. Getting a photograph like this is actually really difficult. The photographers will often wait for hours on end to get that one single frame. And unfortunately, often these pictures are taken in cars, behind tinted windows, and it's often really dark. And so what does that mean the photographers will often use in dark situations? They need to use their flash units. That's because they need to expose the subject correctly. And without having any flash, it would essentially just be a dark car. Traditionally, flash units, like this, are called speedlights, and they're attached to the top of a camera. And what they do is they emit a huge burst of light in a quick second to freeze the motion of what they're looking at. In this particular situation, they've used really bright flash to make sure that Mountbatten is exposed correctly. So a consequence of using high-powered speedlights or flash units is that you get these little red eye reflections in the subject. The other thing that happens is a pretty blue colour balance. You find that images like this can often look quite cold unless you ramp up the warm colour temperature in post-production. And then of course there's the element of surprise. So you have to imagine in a situation like this, everything the subject is looking at is often dark, and there are flash units popping constantly in your face. And so you tend to find that the subjects look a little bit bewildered, or a bit shocked, or a bit surprised, because they really didn't know it was coming. The other thing about this frame is that he's trying to hide. So you'll see he's crouched right down, the composition of his body is really awkward, but that's because he's trying to escape all of the cameras, because he knows that this is going to be front page news the next day. Another example of this type of photography is this one. So this is an image taken by Martin Keep of AFP. This is Erin Patterson from the infamous mushroom trial. She's in the back of a police van on her way to court. Now traditionally, photojournalists in Melbourne don't tend to follow police vans like this because they know that the image is almost impossible to get. And that's for a couple of reasons. The tinting on these vans is so dark that generating enough flash to cut through is really difficult. The other element is the speed that the van is going at. You have to imagine photojournalists are trying to keep up with that van to hold the camera up against the window for long enough to get that shot, but short enough so they don't get run over. Martin's way around this was to create his own rig. He had 2 speedlights, not one, which meant he had more power, and he also had a modified lens hood. So the result of this was an image that had no red eyes, no reflections of the photographer, and a perfectly exposed frame. Photographers often get sent on assignments like this, really not knowing what they're going to come back with. Sometimes they have an image that is not sharp enough, not well exposed, or the composition is just off. But every now and again, they get an image which ends up being the global face of that story.